Hey everybody, this is me, the Untitled Viking, and this is Refuge, Terror from the Deep. Now this is a game that is basically two games in one. It has both a competitive game and a cooperative game. I've played both, I've enjoyed both a great deal, but I am more of a competitive gamer, which is weird because cooperative games are really what got me back into the board gaming hobby all those years ago. But I really do enjoy going up head to head, or going up head to head to head to head to head, because you can play with up to 6 players in this game. Each player is going to be taking on the role of a diver. In the cooperative game, everybody's going to be working together for the same goal of trying to get to this this ancient like World War I submarine that has like some strange technology inside of it that you're trying to find out and what's exactly in there. In the competitive version, you're all racing against each other to get to that submarine and dig out what's there. What's causing a problem is the fact that there is this giant Kraken, this giant squid basically trying to prevent you from reaching that location. It has many tentacles that are trying to grab you and drag you around in the water. Plus, if you get too close to it, it will open up its giant mouth and eat you. The other players and you will kind of be racing against each other. This is the competitive version, mind you. They will be racing against each other to try to be the first person to get to the submarine, get that secret technology, and be the one to escape with it. It is a very fast-paced, very cool-looking game with some awesome miniatures, and I've had a lot of fun playing this with both my friends and my family. So let me show you how this game is played, or at least how the competitive game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Cool. Alright, so this is the competitive side of the game board for the Refuge, Terror from the Deep. Now, I invite you to go ahead and go to the website for the game, or the Kickstarter page, or the Board Game Geek page, and you can definitely check out the rules and read up on the cooperative version. But this is the version of the game I played the most, and I really did like this competitive aspect of the game. Now, that doesn't mean the cooperative version wasn't fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I just kind of like competitive games more. So this is the one I'm going to show you. Alright, so to begin with, you're going to set up the board. You're going to have the Kraken head, which is going to be here. And, you know, I'm just going to say right off the bat, miniatures are awesome. Like, all of, like, the tentacles are cool looking. The Kraken is obviously super cool. Now, I mean, admittedly, this is, like, the 3D printed one that they sent me. You know, if the Kraken head, I'm sure, is going to look just as cool. If they made like a prototype version of the Kraken head look that cool, I can only imagine that the published version is going to be pretty awesome. I mean, here is like one of the divers, you know, like you can kind of, and like it isn't just like the person just standing there doing something. Like it's actually like kind of an action shot. The miniatures actually look like, you know, they're in motion, which I think is a pretty cool aspect as well. So they definitely did try really hard to make the game look cool. Now, alright, so there is a big giant deck of these salvage cards. There is each person, depending upon which character they're going to take, has a 3-card, the 3 cards that give them special powers and abilities that they'll use when they play. Which is like, I always like variable player powers. It just kind of makes each person unique, and it has their own little special bonus, which is something I enjoy. There is the Kraken move deck, which, you know, will get activated by the players, and it will cause this Kraken head to move back and forth. If they happen to be next to, they'll push either tentacles or the divers back and forth with it, and possibly devour the divers. Now, they won't devour their own tentacles, but you know, you get the aspect. Up here, this is the goal. Each of the players is trying to get their diver up into one of these escape hatches. These little escape hatches, they have numbers on them, like this one has number 5. Those are distributed randomly into these locations. You will open up these escape hatches by accomplishing tasks. There's the competitive dive task deck right here, objective deck. This one, this unlocks pod 4. So pod 4 is right here. That's number 4. And if you eliminate 3 or more tentacles in a single turn, then you would be able to unlock that escape pod. This unlocks pod number 3. End your turn adjacent to 2 or more tentacles, and then you would be able to unlock that pod. If anybody ever succeeds in any of these, you immediately unlock the pod. You just take it off there to show that it is able. People are able to use that to escape. You know, it isn't just the person that takes care of it. Everybody will get access to it. But then you would immediately pull the next card over at that time. You don't like wait for the person's turn to be done. All right, so then each person's gonna get a miniature, and they're gonna get like their deck of cards. So like, let's just here we have Satoshi Takashi, and here you know, he's the and the one nice thing is that and there's been certain games where like the image that's on like the character doesn't really match up well with the miniatures that you'll be using, but like here's you know Satoshi Takashi with you know his dagger, and so it just works really well, you know. So I do like the fact that like you know one of those like let's go the extra mile and actually make it easy. So normally like so here like here's Satoshi Takashi and his dagger. Use immediately after playing a salvage card to eliminate a tentacle adjacent to Satoshi, and then there's like special things, you know, like where if it's like in a cooperative mode, they have like a different rule there. Let's look at here, like maneuver. Use immediately after moving. Move an additional time without activating the space that Satoshi lands on. And let's look at the last one here. Spear step. Eliminate a tentacle in front of Satoshi. Move back 1 space. You know, and once again, like in cooperative mode, there's something listed there as well. So these things, if you activate them, what you do is like you'll have these out in front of you, like so, and when you activate them, you just flip them over to show that you've used them. You can recharge them. Basically, if tentacles grab you, if you end up in the same spot as a tentacle and you can't defeat it, you get dragged all the way back to the starting location. You have to start over. In which case, if that happens, then you get to flip the cards over that you had flipped over. So you get to recharge those abilities. So they're like one-shot uses, and most likely you're probably going to use up their abilities as you're making your way to try to make your escape. But you know, in some situations, like you're gonna willingly like allow that to happen. One, to recharge, but like if you have going after this particular to unlock the pod, you have to be next to those tentacles in order to do it. But you know, getting next to tentacles allows people to move those tentacles into you that drag you all the way back, and so on and so forth. So you know, you're gonna get shoved back more than once in this game, especially if you play with a lot of people. Like I've set up a game of 5 players, and this game can handle up to 6. So I mean, there's nothing stopping you from like playing with all 6 players on the board to go. So all right, so and as with any game, I think it is super awesome if they give you a card that tells you exactly all the things that you can do. Like as far as sorry, I should show you this. Take a single action on this side, which is like move a space. You can play a salvage action card, use a character ability action, or draw a salvage card. So like there's those abilities, and then because you'll be moving on the board and activating different spots that you land on, it has a very, very good little helpful thing telling you exactly the picture of what's on there and what happens. So the way the game works, as you can probably guess, is on your turn, you're going to take an action. When you move, you can move orthogonally. You can't move diagonally. Some characters will have special abilities, equipment, or whatever that will allow you to move diagonally. In that case, you know, that's a special situation. But moving is just like that. You're going to move orthogonally on the board in some way, shape, or form. The spot you land on will sometimes cause you to take an action. So like if you move onto a spot that has a tentacle, like so, you get to spawn a tentacle in any unoccupied spawn space. So like you can take this and like any other space that doesn't have, you know, I'm just going to move some people out here. So like as the game is progressing, you know, and there probably be more tentacles out here, but possibly tentacles do get killed and they get destroyed as the game progresses. I should mention that when you move, you can't move into somebody else's spot. spot. Like sometimes there'll be like some of the characters have different action discs and stuff that they'll place on certain spots and what have you. You can move on to those unless the rules tell you can't. But you can't share the space with like another person. So you can get in some people's way, and you will get in people's way. Specifically because of the fact that you'll, that you want to get to the top first and you want to win first, right? All right, so if you are in the spawn spot, that spawns more tentacles. If you move onto a spot like this where it's a layer, like so, you get to move any one tentacle one space orthogonally. So you can move tentacles closer to your enemies like so. They can't move diagonally either. Just keep that in mind. There are certain spots that are cave spots that are right here and here. Cave spots are cool because you can't move a tentacle on there. Like if there was a tentacle here and somebody moved, onto a layer space, they can't take this tentacle and move it onto you because of the fact that it can't enter a cave. However, when you're on a cave spot and somebody moves onto a whirlpool spot like so, they can switch spots with you. Anybody who's on a cave spot, they can switch spots with you in that situation. So something to look out for if that happens. And then that's a may. You don't have to, but you may do that. Finally, there are Crackin Spots, and if those are the spots with these two looks. Now, the only time you're going to see these Crackin Spots are when you get up into this area. When you move on to a Crackin Spot, what happens is that you have to draw one of these Kraken cards and resolve the movement. Now, the bottom of this is for the cooperative version, so don't worry about that. This is the one that you have to worry about. That Kraken spot tells you that this Kraken is going to move one space over like so. And it's just going to move one to the left. And it's going to kind of shove you over to the side like so. Now, if you are in a situation, and this can happen, like if you had like 3 people like lined up like so. And I should mention that, like, notice how there isn't a spot right here for the Kraken. The Kraken can't move into this because there isn't enough spot to move. But if you had a thing where the Kraken moved to the left like so, and you moved, it would shove like this. The person shoved off gets devoured, and when they get devoured, they have to go back to the beginning. And so like in this situation, like you would be like, oh, well, okay, if my people are over here, then they can't get shoved. Well, they can get shoved, like if somebody was a tentacle and they get moved over, they can get shoved off like so. You can also have a situation, and that one is like 2 to the right. Let me see if I can find one. Of course, I'm having trouble finding one that says Devourer on it here. How many am I going to go through? All right, there we go. So there's a Devourer. So if you get a Devourer result and there are people next to the Kraken, like so, it will devour all of the people that are around it. And if for whatever reason, if you decide you can purposely, like, I don't know why you would, I haven't run into a situation where you would do it. If you move into the Kraken purposely, you will then get devoured as well. And once again, if you get devoured, you just get to go back and you get to pick whatever starting spot you wish, and then you would start there. Notice how this card here has this little, like, kind of a refresh design there on the bottom, like so. When this card gets pulled, then you take all of the cards, all of the Kraken cards, and you would shuffle them all up and get ready to go after shuffling them all together. So the next time somebody moves onto that spot, the Kraken, you will have a fresh deck of cards. Now, as you can tell, when you get up to the top here and you have multiple people moving up there, moving into those spots, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on as far as like, the Kraken, like moving around and juking and jiving and trying to eat everybody. Now, I should take a moment to talk about the salvage cards, because like you'll be taking action just to draw salvage cards. Like, and a lot of them, like, they'll have the type of card up here, and like cards will reference different types of cards, and so there'll be a type of card up there. So like this is Adrenaline. It says play immediately, and after using like that type of card or an ability that's an attack card basically, and then you get to take an additional action. So you just get to play the card and do that. Sometimes, like, here's the Grappling Hook. It says move one space diagonally in any direction, and then so that could be an action. So you could actually move. Spear gun, like a spear gun, is used to kill, eliminate a tentacle in your space without taking an action. So, like if a tentacle either gets, you can use that too if somebody moves a tentacle into your space. You can just immediately use that spear gun to destroy it. So like some of them, like this, it's like it says the decryptor uses to unlock escape pods and mysterious lockboxes. Let me find a mysterious lockbox here and find the card for that. Yeah, here's like a mysterious lockbox. So you have cards that work with it. Discard a decryptor from your hand to draw 4 salvage cards. So like stuff like this. So the salvage cards, like here's one you can even steal from people. Choose a player and take 1 random salvage card from that player's hand. So, you know, the salvage cards are just going to give you little special powers and abilities that will allow you, you know, like a better chance at being the first player to get to the top and win. And that's how you win. Once these things get unlocked and they get removed, if you can be the player that manages to move into a spot without being killed or eaten by the Kraken that is guarding it, if you're the first player to do so, you are the winner of Refuge. And it seems like a really simple thing to do, but you have to remember, you're going to have players constantly doing everything they possibly can to stop you from doing that, whether it's having tentacles grab you and drag you all the way back, or somebody purposely kind of just, I should grab one of these, not a tentacle, somebody purposely moving back and forwards like this and just trying to make sure that the Kraken is devouring anybody that gets even close, which is a very viable strategy when this comes to it. There's so much about this game that I mean, obviously the game just looks cool. This is a game that if I was like 10 years old and I saw this game on a store shelf, I would be like, I need to play this because it just looks so freaking cool. I mean, just this giant squid thing attacking, eating people, plus like the whole undersea adventure type of thing. But there's there's a surprising amount of depth for a game that is kind of just mostly a thematic, like race game, if you will. I mean, there are lots of different strategies that you have to do. You kind of bide your time, you know, get some good salvage cards, get some good abilities, and plus the fact that each of the different characters has their own special little set of things that they're good at. Just kind of, once again, adds to that thematic, adds to that narrative, and just makes the game fun to play. This is definitely something that, like, you can teach the rules in a matter of minutes. There's enough player aids and things like that available that everybody's going to be able to reference the rules very quickly. Turns aren't going to take a long time. It is fast-paced, it is action-filled, and a lot of fun. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. Alright, so there you go. That is the Refuge, Terror from the Deep. Now, this is a game that like has like everything going for it as far as like the looks, the artwork's great. I mean, this cover's awesome. The artwork's great, the narrative's great, the idea behind it is great. I love the theme. I mean, you could have made this about spaceships or a train or anything like that, but I dig the whole submarine theme for it. The miniatures themselves just look awesome. You know, and as I said, like, you know, it isn't just standard miniatures of like, you know, people moving like, you know, like that, you know, like, you know, the standard stuff, like they're kind of in cool little like 3-dimensional like swimming poses and stuff like that, which I really liked. And plus, like as I said, like if I was a kid and I saw that giant squid head sitting there and all those tentacles on a board, if I saw that game, I'd be like, oh, I gotta get that game. I wouldn't even know what that game was about, but I mean, if I had seen a game like that, and I did see games like that when I was, you know, a wee one, I'd be, man, all over it and wanted to get it and add it and play it and have a blast with it. So, which is when I set that game up and my son walked by, he was just like, dude, what is that? You know, and I was like, oh, come closer, Caleb. Let us play. So it's definitely got that kind of table draw to it. Now, it is a game that you can teach in like 5 minutes, not even that. I mean, it took 5 minutes basically to my 7-year-old son, who then grasped the entire game completely. I mean, there was some reading, but, you know, he knows how to read, but it definitely was one of those things where I, you know, maybe had to explain to him what certain cards did. But there is really good iconography on those cards. It you know, explains the things that it does really well, and he grabbed onto it really well. And his 11-year-old sister definitely snagged onto it too. And the three of us played it many, many times. We played cooperatively, you know, just because I didn't want to be the dad beating up on his kids. But we had a blast with it. Now, with my gaming group, we played it competitively, and we had a lot of fun with it too. The game plays really quickly, and as I said, it has that fun little narrative, fun little style. We definitely were like quoting like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movies and things like that. And so anytime, you know, it's one of those things where because there wasn't like a lot of convoluted rules, because like each person was only taking one action, it wasn't like somebody was like, okay, take your 5 actions this turn, I'll wait for my time. It was like, boom, taking the action, boom, taking the action, things like that. The gameplay was extremely fast paced, and it was, you know, so like the game never overstayed its welcome. You know, and sometimes games that maybe don't have the most complex of rule sets can have that problem where it's just like, oh, why are we still playing this? You know, 45 minutes later, you're getting a little annoyed at that. But I mean, this one, you know, didn't have that because the game was over by that time. I do really like the aspect of the fact that you have to unlock those doors to, like, you know, be able to access them. You know, I like the like there's a lot of timing things going on with like, do I complete that objective now? You know, am I ahead of everybody else? If I get that objective, is somebody just going to move a tentacle onto me and drag me back? You know, so there's things like that, like kind of tough decisions. Or do I let somebody else do all the heavy lifting and try to like sneak out a win and try to like angle off to the side and get around the Kraken head and try to get to the escape room pod before anybody else. So there definitely is like one of those things where you have to bide your time and choose the right time to strike. But if you wait too long, one of the other players is definitely going to do that for you. I do think this game works better with more players. There's a lot, and that's both cooperatively and competitively. You know, because of the fact that the actual game doesn't like as far as the actions and what you're doing in both realms, like you even like in a 6-player game, like a competitive 6-player game where like each person is taking like a couple of minutes to take their turn, getting back to you is just, you know, it's like some sort of weird death march you're on. It's like, come on, I want to go. But in this time, boom, 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 now it's your turn again. Even with a full complement of 6 players, you never feel like you're sitting around doing nothing. There's never an excuse to take your phone out and stare at it for a while you're waiting to do your thing. So, yeah, I mean, the game's just a lot of fun. And it's, you know, it is exactly what I wanted from an under the sea like kind of thematic experience in a board game world. And so there you go. Pretty awesome. But if you have any questions about it, by all means, post away. I'll try to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate the time that you took to watch me talk about this game and all the other stuff that's on my channel. If you have any comments or whatever, go ahead and blast those out. I'll try to answer those as best as I can. Just be the best human being that you possibly can be. Be the best version of you that you possibly can be. I will try to do the same. Until next time, I'm the Untitled Viking. This was Refuge, Terror from the Deep. And you're awesome. All right, later.